PC expected to meet today and on Thursday, where they're going to be announcing on Thursday an increase in the interest rates. Econometrics Director and Chief Economist Dr. Azar Jamin joining us to talk about the meeting as well. Doc, and good to have you with us. And I imagine it's pretty much a done deal at this time. We know it's going up. The only question is by how much? What's your crystal ball telling you?
You're absolutely correct, and there are reasons to believe that the repo rate will be increased by 0.25%. There are other reasons to believe it will be raised by 0.5%. On the positive side, why the Reserve Bank may not increase interest rates too sharply, the inflation rate has been coming off the boil. It's dropped for 4 consecutive months. Even excluding food and fuel, the inflation rate has been coming down. We also know that fuel prices came down sharply at the beginning of the month, and so the inflation rate is going to carry on falling over the next couple of months. But against that, there are concerns that the rolling blackouts are causing shortages, especially of food, that may force food prices to remain high and to go up even further than we had expected. There is also weakness in the rand, especially against currencies other than the dollar. And most importantly, we also know that interest rates are going to go up in Europe and in the United States next week. On the positive side, in the United States, there's a feeling that if they raise interest rates too far, this will send the US economy into recession. Therefore, they may only limit their rate increase to 0.25%. So at the end of the day, what you end up with is a bit of this and a bit of that, real uncertainty as to the exact order of magnitude of the rate hike. But the real fear is that if they go too aggressive, in an economy that is already weak, this will have detrimental effects when we know that inflation is already coming down.
Doc, as I'm always willing to admit that I obviously failed Economics 101 at university, so I'm going to use an analogy. So help me understand. Imagine there is a poiky pot with the outcome being a recession or no recession. In the poiky pot, we're going to throw an increase of interest rates. We're going to throw permanent stage 2 and stage 3 load shedding. Inflation is coming down, fuel prices are going up, and we throw in for some good fun, food prices going up as well. We stir that all together, and do we get a recession this year in South Africa, or do we keep it as a takeaway for down the road?
Unfortunately, I'm on the side of those who believe that there is a good chance that we will have a recession. What's going on here is absolutely dreadful, and you had it in your headline news today about the impact of this intensified load shedding on all sorts of areas of the economy. And what is the worst thing about this is that there seems very little light at the end of the short-term tunnel to suggest that this load shedding is going to end anytime soon. So if you take that into account, I think that must have a negative effect on economic growth and send quite a lot of the economy into recession. People are going to struggle to survive in many areas of the economy as a consequence of load shedding.
Doc, help me understand, when we reach a stage where recession is a possibility, is that an announcement? Are we going to see the Reserve Bank coming out? Are we going to see the Finance Minister coming out and saying, Gareth, as of the 25th of February, I'm making up a date here, we're in recession? How does that work? Do we wait for an announcement? And what does a recession actually mean for me and you?
Not really. What a recession really means is that economic activity is contracting, not expanding. Under normal circumstances, economic activity keeps expanding. People are enterprising, innovative. They produce new ideas that cause the economy to grow, and also the population keeps growing, certainly in this country, by 1.5% per year. And that means more people theoretically should be entering the workforce and creating more economic activity. What we mean by a recession fundamentally is that despite all that, we see economic activity contracting. And especially with the growth in the population, that means that per person, the economy is actually contracting. Technically, Economists measure a recession as 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. But, that's a technical interpretation. The real interpretation is that the economy is actually contracting.
I'd like to circle back around to the interest rates and this increase we're expecting this coming Thursday, Doc, as well. Last year, we were hearing, because of inflation coming down, I know you touched on this as well, with inflation coming down, where we're about 7.2% now, we want to try and get down to between 3 and 6% for SARB. Could this year be the year where we don't see continuous increases of the interest rate? Do you think before the end of this year we might actually see a decrease?
Thank you for asking that question. Absolutely. I think there is a very good chance that this may be the last interest rate increase, precisely because of the pain that people are feeling and the fact that inflation is showing signs of coming down. The Reserve Bank, though, is very cautious. One of the dangers that it has is that if it doesn't if it doesn't raise its interest rates in line with what's happening overseas investors start pulling their money out of rands because they can't get as much of a benefit by leaving their money in rands in terms of the interest that they earn, and they start selling it. The rand depreciates, and then you have higher inflation. But there is a very good chance, I believe, that both here and overseas, we are close to the top of the interest rate cycle right now. That's about the best news that I can give you. But and the other good news is to just reflect on the fact that interest rates are not that much higher than they were for many years prior to the onset of COVID-19. You remember with COVID-19, interest rates were reduced by 3%. Well, all we've done really in the last year is to retrace that 3% cut that we had at COVID. Rates are not that high compared with where they have been in the past.
See, told you I was going to get some good news from Dr. Jammine today. You didn't believe me. I told you he was going to give us some good news. Always good. Dr. Azar Jammine joining us this morning. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It won't be because of Eskom, of course, but if you close your eyes and you imagine it, there is some light there somewhere. Just got to keep looking for it. It's